Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Pixley for President. I'm once again Jared Pixley. I want to take a moment just to discuss my background. I never mentioned this, but if you saw my original videos, you'll notice that the painting I have above my head has been replaced by Batman. That was actually a Christmas present for my sister, so that was the only place I really had to hang it. So I need to find a new place for that painting. That was actually painted by my best friend's wife. You'll notice I just added this corkboard here, which I see now on the screen. You cannot really read it. That is actually my presidential to-do list. It says, rehire all scientists, doctors, and experts that were fired by Trump. Release the Epstein files. Fund Medicare, Medicaid, SNAP, and FEMA. Fund the Department of Education, the Forest Services, and the VA. That also will include the National Park Services and some other agencies. Gut ICE, which on my episode about ICE, you'll know that I do not want to destroy it completely. I want it to go back to what it used to be. I would lower its budget to what it was during the Biden era, and I would fire everyone who did not actually pass the physical exam, the written exam, or the background check. And I would hold all the shooters accountable, as well as in recent news, the guy was arrested for raping the 3-year-old girl. At least I believe the article said he was arrested. I'd have to go back and double check. But yeah, hold them accountable, and so basically reshape the agency back into what it was supposed to be, one that we never hear about because they don't do anything bad. Let's see, gut ice, and hold the administration accountable. I also have some thermometers on there. One is my follower count on Blue Sky, looking at, so Biden does not have an account, but Obama does. Obama is out 400,000, well, just over 400,000 followers. I figure, to be, president, I probably need to get somewhere close to that. So that is set at 4,000. I'm at 5,200. So, that's at 400,000. The goal is 400,000. I'm at 5,200. So I am 1/800th of the way there. Next to it is YouTube subscriber count. When I'm filming this, I'm actually at 362. My guess is I probably need to be somewhere in the millions. So, nowhere close yet. On the other side, the side closest to Batman, that is my campaign fund level. The going rate for a presidential campaign is around $1 billion. During Biden and Trump's, during Biden's first election, both he and Trump had raised about $1 billion each. Trump's re-election, both he and Kamala Harris had each raised and spent over $1 billion. So I figure I need in the realm of $1 billion. I have currently raised about $250. So that's why, from your point of view, it should just look like a black squiggle because the color hasn't filled in. So I want to take a moment and thank all the new subscribers, because I've gotten about another 100 new subscribers since the last time I filmed. Welcome to my channel. In the description box, you'll find all my links, my book on Amazon, my website, my social medias. I do a monthly newsletter. If you want to sign up, just go to my website. There is a contact link there. You can sign up. If you want to donate to my campaign and help fill up my thermometer, there is a link there on that. I do have a new campaign donation site. I'm registered with Anadot, which now I have extra paperwork to do because I had to file not only with the FEC, which I had already done, I had also filed with the IRS. So luckily both of them want the same information. All right, getting into this week's discussion. So, actually, in my previous video, we had discussed the Supreme Court and the cases that it's currently hearing right now. As opening arguments about birthright citizenship were the other day, I want to clarify some details. Trump says that the U.S. is the only country with birthright citizenship. This is false. The U.S., Canada, Mexico, all of Central America and most of South America, and a couple countries in Africa all have it. Much of Europe has a restricted form of birthright citizenship, which is where if you are born in that country and one of your parents is a legal citizen of that country, you are automatically granted citizenship. But since birthright citizenship is granted by the 14th Amendment of the Constitution, which says any person who is born on American soil and is subject to the jurisdiction thereof, it does not say that one of your parents has to be a citizen. This case is now about whether or not Trump can overrule the Constitution. So another case that is before the Supreme Court that I completely missed is one concerning a Colorado ban on conversion therapy for LGBT minors. The Supreme Court has refused to hear similar cases in the past. According to the United Nations, the International Rehabilitation Council for Torture Victims, and the European Citizens Initiative, they call conversion therapy cruel, inhumane, and degrading treatment, and that it violates human rights. The American Psychiatric Association and the American Medical Association have called it abusive and damaging. In a 2020 survey, 56% of respondents say that it should be illegal to send minors to conversion therapy. Only 18% said that it was okay. The rest had no answer. Mike Pence, however, did run a conversion therapy camp in Indiana, and various neo-Nazis were associated with it. I personally am against conversion therapy. I am against harming children. I think it should be banned. California, Nevada, Oregon, Washington, Utah, Illinois, Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey, Virginia, Washington, D.C., Maryland, and all of New England, and a couple other states agree with me that it should be banned. They all have bans on conversion therapy for minors, and some even for conversion therapy for adults. Colorado State Legislature recently passed a law to add it to that list of names. However, a lawsuit against it has gone to the Supreme Court, and on March 31st, the Supreme Court ruled 8-1 that the ban is a violation of the First Amendment. This could overrule 21 states' existing bans, but that's yet to be challenged. And it's only been a week. Now, this might sound bad, and it is bad, but it's not that bad. The case Chiles versus Salazar was just about talk therapy with a therapist. And talking is protected by the First Amendment. The case did not consider other forms of conversion therapy that include the use of chemicals, electric shocks, and even rape to, quote, cure the patient. I believe that the LGBT community deserves the same human rights that everyone else enjoys. They should not be drugged. They should not be raped. They should not be shocked or even bullied into acting like something they are not. And as president, I will protect them. But I kind of have to agree with the court on this one. It is okay for the therapist to try to talk you into changing. Well, it's okay for them to say that you should change. If you don't like it, get a new therapist. But as long as they're not doing any sort of coercion, any sort of bullying, any sort of verbal abuse, that is protected speech. Now, I will hate what you say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it. So moving on into this week, or actually, that's still really part of this week, because this week was just a bunch of news stories that I saw that I felt I needed to talk about. None of them were long enough for its own video, and so I decided to just clump a bunch of them into one. So the second news story that I was reading about is that Trump is paying a company called Total Energies, which is a French energy company, almost $1 billion in taxpayer money for them not to build some wind farms. Now, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was quick to attack this announcement, and officially, as a member of Congress, has questioned the legality of this payment, demanding to know, did Congress authorize this expenditure, because they have the power of the purse, and where this money is even coming from, as well as any legal precedent for the United States to pay a foreign company $1 billion not to do something that would benefit everyone. Well, not everyone, just 1.3 million people, or more. It's 1.3 million households. So electricity prices have gone up in New York as well as pretty much all over the country. New York, we just saw a big rate spike in, well, it's not the rates, the delivery fee. A big surge in our delivery fees. Total Energies had planned to build 2 wind farms, one off the coast of New York and one off the coast of North Carolina. This could have helped lower prices or at least stop them from going up further. The planned farms would have provided power to 1.3 million homes. In addition to this, when Trump took office, he forced 5 wind farms to stop construction, citing national security concerns. The same concerns he's citing right now on the Total Energy farms. You can't build that windmill, that wind turbine there. National security reasons. All those terrorists hiding in the mountain, well, on this one off the coast, so in those waves, hiding underwater. I am a fan of green energy. We have seen how successful it can be. Just looking back when Texas froze over, and most of Texas was without power. The only places still generating energy were the wind and solar farms. Coal and oil cause pollution, and right now we're seeing what happens when part of that oil supply is cut off. Gee, we don't have oil, prices go up. We don't produce enough oil for this country. And a lot of what we do produce, we sell overseas. So the latest numbers I've found show that wind energy makes up about 10.2% of total electricity production in the U.S., or about 421 terawatt hours. Solar makes up another 7%, or 165 terawatt hours, and is the fastest growing segment of U.S. power. However, fossil fuels, including coal and gas-powered plants, contribute to 2,500 terawatt hours, and nuclear is at 775 terawatt hours. Hydropower comes in 4th place with 245 terawatt hours. Now, in China, wind power is about to hit 1,000 terawatt hours. 20 years ago, they were only producing about 1 terawatt hour. So over 20 years, they have had 1,000% growth. China is now being used as an example of a country that is going green, as they have built wind farms and solar farms, and electric cars have become more common. The smog that had once clouded their major cities is vanishing. The U.S. could be setting the example for the rest of the world. But as electricity prices are going up, the current administration thinks we should use taxpayer money to block companies from building more power plants. Instead, we're paying Total Energies to now lease a natural gas well and ship the gas to Europe. How is that America First? In my book, Pixley for President, I talk about SunZia, a growing and successful green energy company in New Mexico that is creating American jobs, including manufacturing jobs, because it orders turbine blades from a company in Florida. They are producing 3.5 gigawatts from their 900 turbine farm. They also built 500 miles of transmission lines to carry that energy to California and Arizona. So they're building these farms in the desert, collecting all the energy, shipping it to where people are. And as I also talk, we need new transmission lines. But that is part of my infrastructure plan. Now, as president, I will support green energy. I will work to lower energy costs. I will bring back Biden-era grants for companies trying to go green. And I will not waste taxpayer money by giving it to a foreign company that wants to help us. Another story in the news that I saw and want to talk about is the shutting down of the U.S. Forest Service. Remember, it is on my board to fund. The U.S. Forest Service has been around for about 121 years. It is an agency under the Department of Agriculture, not the Department of Interior for some reason that I have not yet found. It manages about a quarter of our federal lands, including 154 national forests covering 193 million acres. It employs, or employed, about 35,000 people, including 5,000 seasonal employees, and they had a measly budget of $9.3 billion. Last week, Trump announced that he's closing their D.C. headquarters and moving it to Salt Lake City, which is famous for its forests. He is also closing 10 regional offices and 50 research facilities. The career employees that worked in those regional offices are now out of work, and those research facilities had decades of long-term scientific experiments that will be lost, like a 30-year watershed study and old-growth monitoring programs. Now, these are not studies that they could just stop and then pick up again. You stop, all that research is gone. Well, the research is done, but, the point of the research is gone. It is estimated that about a third of the employees will be let go out of that 35,000. The administrative and scientific staff will be reduced. Tom Schultz, the current head of the U.S. Forest Service, has strong ties to the lumber industry and helped expand to timber production while he was head of the Idaho Forest Service by relaxing restrictions there. None of this is by accident. This is all by design. Trump hates science because it is always showing him that he is wrong. Trump claims he's 6'3" and 224 pounds. These are numbers from his annual physical last year. And we'll see the 2026 numbers in a week or two now. But we have seen him standing next to people that we know are only 6 feet tall, and he appears shorter. What does Trump say when questioned? Fake news or quiet piggy. He does not like the real world intruding in his fantasy world. He says that he is one of the best golfers ever, but he refuses to participate in any tournament with a referee. Why? By the way, the New York jail he visited for the sexual assault case, he was weighed and measured there. He is 5'10" and 288 pounds. So, I have him beat. I'm 5'11" and 290 pounds. Trump hates the truth, including the truth about climate change and pollution in general. He thinks that coal is clean, despite coal miners suffering from chronic breathing problems and the mines themselves polluting rivers for miles downstream. If there is no one left to monitor that stuff, then no one can claim he's wrong. So let's get rid of the Forest Service. He's already gutted the National Park Service and the EPA. I should add the EPA to that list. And by dismantling the Forest Service, he might be getting kickbacks from some lumber companies. As time continues its unrelenting march forward, the pile of BS that I have to deal with if elected president gets more daunting. As you can see, I now have a list, and just making this video, I think of new stuff to add to it. Which I wrote that list after I wrote the script. The damage he has done to this country will remain with us for generations. As I said before, there are 193 million acres of forests right now. How much will be left by the 2028 election? Old growth forests take generations to grow back. It's not just the loss of the trees. What about the soil that their roots held in place? How much of that will be washed away? What are the species that call those trees homes? Rivers could change the course, alter the entire layout of the land. As president, I will restore these agencies to their Biden-era budgets. I will reinstitute the regulations that they issued. I will choose leadership that wants to keep our country beautiful and our people alive. I will participate in tree plantings, but the damage will take time to heal. Now, speaking of trees, the last topic of this video is a pair of trees that were at the White House. 2 magnolia trees, one commemorating President Warren G. Harding and the other for President Franklin D. Roosevelt. Now, a lot of presidents have memorial trees at the White House. It's part of a tradition during their term. Every president plants a tree. There should be one for Biden right now. Who knows if Trump participated? Who cares? But Harding's and Roosevelt's trees have disappeared from satellite photos. Harding's tree was planted by First Lady Florence Harding in 1922, over 100 years ago. In the 1940s, it was replanted by the East Wing, and Roosevelt's tree was planted near it. Now they're both gone, and the White House has no response. They were probably ripped out in the demolishing of the East Wing, which I have a whole other video on. I think this shows how little respect the current administration has for our traditions, for our memories. If it doesn't have his name on it, he doesn't care. He'll either get rid of it or stamp his name on it. I know this episode has been pretty dense and a bit dour. We are seeing the destruction of our country in real time. And I'll try to make a more lighthearted video next week, but if you want to help fight against this destruction and help finance the rebuilding, please contribute to my presidential campaign. Even if it's just $10 or $20, it will help. As a candidate, I'm independent. I don't have any big corporations, any billionaires, or any special interest groups backing me. Just people like you. So, if you want to make this country a better place, please help me do that for you. Please help me help you. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share, and I will see you again next week.